Hi everyone, welcome back to your practice. I have a couple blocks and a belt to assist as props, but feel free to use whatever you have around the house. You can use books or pillows, blankets, whatever you got to make the practice a little bit more accessible and maybe also enhance the stretches. Let's start our practice in a comfortable seat where we're sitting up tall, engaging through those core muscles. Let's turn the palms of the hands to face up. And remember, comfortable seat might mean cross-legged. It might mean the legs extended out. It might even mean sitting in a chair. So whatever comfortable position means to you, go ahead and find your way there. And then maybe close the eyes. And notice already if you're carrying any tension in the shoulders, maybe even lift the shoulders up to your ears as you inhale. And then exhale, pull them down. Allow them to be heavy. Allow them to find their way a little bit closer down towards the floor. And let's take a few moments here as we start to build our Ujjayi breath. Breathing in and out through the nose if you can, comfortably. Feeling the lower belly, maybe even the lower side waist and the lower back expand as you inhale. So kind of inflating those areas as you inhale and then pulling everything back in gently as you exhale. So smooth inhales and exhales. And then add a little sound to your breath as if you're fogging a mirror in front of you, even if the lips are together. And then notice sometimes when I sit cross-legged, my knees start to come up a little bit. They're resisting the stretch, so find that the knees are just melting down towards the floor. And if you do find that does cause some pain, especially in the knees, just find a different way to sit and always listen to your body. You want to make sure the joints are happy. So if you do find any of the positions or movements don't feel so good on the body, feel free to modify or just skip. This is your practice, so find what works best for your body. Let's just take a couple more deep rounds of breath of our Ujjayi breath here. Notice if the shoulders are stacked right over the hips, if the head is over the tailbone. And then let's draw the palms of the hands together at our heart center. And if you'd like to set an intention for your practice or a dedication, or maybe just feel gratitude that you're able to come to your practice. So whatever you have, go ahead and set that. And then let's open the eyes if they're closed. Namaste. All right, let's release those hands down. Let's inhale, circle those arms out and up. Nice, good stretch. And then exhale, return those hands back to the heart. So just a couple more times, inhaling to lift, to stretch. Keep the shoulders down though. Exhale, hands to the heart. And then one more time, deep breath in. Exhale, hands to the heart. Let's walk our hands forward as much as is comfortable. You'll start to feel a stretch in the lower back and the hips. You can stay high on your fingertips, or you can start to melt the chest down. So if your legs are extended long, just separate your feet wider than the hips and just find a gentle way to stretch the back. Notice if your bottom is coming up. Keep grounding your sitting bones down into the mat. And then let's slowly walk our hands back towards us so we could sit up tall, change the crossing of the legs. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, hands to the heart, and then let's walk it forward here. So maybe you're staying pretty high up here. If you feel like it's a good idea, or it feels good to stretch it forward, keeping your bottom firmly planted onto the mat, you can reach as far forward as feels comfortable. Notice that the shoulders are coming up. Melt those armpits down, almost like downward facing dog, hands and arms. Lengthen the back, the neck, or find a little bit of movement if that feels good. Still finding that Ujjayi breath. And then let's walk those hands back towards us so we can sit up tall. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, let's come into a twist. So twist over to one side, gently turning the head, the shoulders, and the chest. See if you can relax the legs. So the outer knees, if your legs are crossed, outer knees relax down. Breathe here. Still finding the lower belly expand as you inhale. And soften back as you exhale, and then inhale. Let's slowly come back to center, arms out and up. And then exhale over to the other side. Just carefully coming into the twist so you can notice if there's any kind of cricks or cracks. Breathing here. Finding a comfortable position for the head. Nice easy stretch for the neck. And then let's slowly inhale, come back to center. Exhale, hands to the heart. Let's come onto our hands and knees into tabletop pose. Let's stack our hands underneath our shoulders, or you can have the hands slightly forward. And then we'll have the knees start right underneath the hips. Just a few rounds of our cow cat to warm up through the spine, moving with the rhythm of the breath. Inhaling, lowering the belly, little arch in the spine. Exhale, press into the floor, round it out. And if there's any other little movements you'd like to make that would make this cow cat feel good, you can. Maybe it's a little shift forward and a little shift back, or maybe a little circular pattern in both directions. So you can even get a nice stretch through the sideways. Just make it feel good. Whatever sounds like a good idea for a stretch and a warm up. And then let's retreat back into child's pose. So separate those knees a little bit wider than the hips, toes towards each other. And we'll stay relatively high. So prop yourself up on your elbows and let's interlace the fingers and get a little warm up for those hands. Ooh, maybe crack a few knuckles. Change the interlacing of the fingers. Change the circular pattern of your wrists, of your hands. And then let's go ahead and stretch it forward once again, coming into tabletop pose, and then kind of scoot yourself back so your toe tips line up with the back of the mat. Starting from our tabletop pose, let's start to walk our hands one hand length forward and then shift the shoulders so they stack over the wrists. Spread those fingers nice and wide, palms pressing firmly down into the mat. Draw the shoulders back. So coming into modified plank pose, so plank pose, but our knees are down. And then notice if the hips are sagging down, pull it up. So you have a nice strong flat back. Breathe here. And then really engage through the core. So imagine you're wearing a corset, and the corset is just giving a tight squeeze or a slight tight squeeze in so those muscles can support and hug the spine. Let's take another inhale here, building a little bit of heat in the shoulders and the chest. And then exhale, move it back to child's pose. Keep those hands where they are. Inhale, shift it forward. Maybe curl the toes under, come into full plank if you'd like. Remember, make the modifications if you need to. And then exhale, softly place the knees down and sit it back. So just getting some range of motion for our shoulders too. Inhale, press it forward. Exhale, release it back. And then one more time, inhale, press it forward, plank pose, hold. Remember, knees can be up or down. Press out through those heels. Let's take 3 really nice deep rounds of breath here. Shoulders draw back. Head is in neutral spine. One last round of breath here. Strong through the legs. And then lower those knees down to the mat. Shift the shoulders a little bit forward of the wrist, and then let's lower to our belly with control. Shoulders draw back, elbows stay alongside the body, just barely grazing the ribs until you come down onto your belly. Move my props a little bit. And then let's come onto our elbows. Have the elbows right underneath the shoulders, and you can interlace the fingers and then draw those shoulders back. Take an inhale, and then as you exhale, let's float those hips up. Inhale, slowly lower, and then exhale, begin to lift. Feel the squeeze of the core. Inhale is to lower. Exhale is to lift. Do that 2 more times, moving with the rhythm of the breath. Keep the neck nice and long. Really feel the squeeze of the lower belly. And then let's slowly release down. Release all the way down. Let's extend our arms forward and separate your hands better than your shoulders. Have the feet about hip bone distance apart and start to engage through the lower belly. So have that sensation of kind of pulling the lower belly a little bit away from the mat. It's going to do some back core work. And then let's extend those hands far forward so that the elbows lift, but the shoulders don't drop but by the ears. So draw the shoulders back, and then let's start to float those legs. Notice if the heels are turning towards each other, draw the heels straight up towards the ceiling. Doesn't have to be too high. Make sure you're not over engaging through that lower back. So pull in the lower belly to give a little bit of support, and then maybe float the arms up as well. Keep the neck nice and long. Take an inhale. As you exhale, draw the arms in cactus shape or even draw the elbows alongside the body. Maybe lift up a little bit higher if that feels good. Inhale, extend long. Exhale, maybe lift a little bit. Inhale, extend. Exhale, lift. 2 more times. Remember, the height is up to you. At any time, you can release those legs down. Release everything down. And then let's release everything down. So stack the hands underneath the forehead, bend those knees, little windshield wiper, or even a little circular pattern with those lower legs. Get a little bit of release, a little bit of movement and stretch for the lower back. And then release those toes back down. Let's go back into some core work. Let's come into where we have our elbows right underneath the shoulders. Interlace the fingers the weird way. Knees can be down or knees can be lifted as you come into your forearm plank pose. And then let's lift the right foot or the right knee just a few inches off of the floor. Breathe. Try to keep everything steady, even the hips and the shoulders. I like to flex that right foot as if I'm pressing it back. And then go ahead, set the right foot down, set those knees down. Just take a moment, set the hips down. And then let's move over to the other side. So knees down or knees up, your choice. And then we'll pick the left foot or the left knee up. Feel the squeeze, feel the work of that right leg. Embrace any shakiness that you might have. That's a good sign that you're creating strength. And then go ahead, release, knees, hips, release those hands, draw them forward, draw the shoulders down. And then go ahead and separate those feet about hip bone distance apart. Heels point up to the ceiling and out towards each other. Let's go ahead and float it up. Maybe float the arms, maybe draw the arms alongside the body with the palms facing down. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, slide your fingertips as far towards the back of the mat as is comfortable. Make sure you're being mindful of the lower back. And then slowly lower just a little bit, not all the way down unless you want to. And then lift and lower. 3 more times. Lift and lower. Really feel the work, the muscles of the upper back and the middle back, still engaging through the belly. So we're trying to keep some length in the lower back. Let's do 1 more time. And then let's release. Stack the hands underneath the forehead, bend those knees, little sway or any type of circular pattern that feels good on your back. And then let's release the feet down. Draw those hands alongside the ribs, elbows in. Let's place the tops of the feet firmly down into the mat. So the wrists will be almost right under the elbows. Either cobra pose or upward facing dog, your choice, will be there for 3 rounds of breath. So your choice, cobra pose or upward facing dog. Maybe you're dropping the chin down towards the chest if you want to get an extra stretch for the neck, or just keep the head in neutral position. Really press into those hands. If you're an upward facing dog, take another inhale. And then as you exhale, let's lift up, press it back, downward facing dog. Pedal that out, whatever movement you'd like to make. Or maybe just find stillness. Let's take a few rounds of breath here. Being always mindful of the alignment, all 10 toes parallel to each other. Make sure those knees aren't coming towards each other. You want the knees to be almost as wide as the feet, depending on how wide your feet are. Thinking about the shoulders, if they're coming up by the ears, draw them towards the hips. Wrap those triceps and the pointy parts of the elbow more down towards the mat so you really feel your lats, where your muscles along the upper back work strong in the hands. Bend those knees as much as you need to really feel some nice length in the torso. At any time, you can take child's pose or stay here for 3 more rounds of breath. Finding your Ujjayi breath. See if you can make this downward facing dog More of a relaxing pose. Last round of breath here. Slowly release those knees down and come into child's pose. When we get to child's pose, let's come into a side bend, walk the hands over to the right, maybe a little shift of the hips to the left. Feel some nice stretching for the left side of the body, a little side bend for the spine. And then let's draw ourselves over to the other side, hands over to the left, maybe the hips a little bit to the right. And then we'll come back to center and just take a moment here. And then from child's pose, let's make our way back to downward facing dog. Let's step the feet together. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Circle the foot a few times in each direction. Keep the shoulders even so you get a nice stretch for the legs. Change the direction of the foot circle if you haven't already. Stretch that right leg up to the ceiling. Feel a stretch in that inner legs, back of the left leg, and then set the right foot back down over to the other side. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Ooh, my little pop there. Circle the foot a few times. Find your Ujjayi breath. Strong in that standing or the bottom leg. Reach the left leg up as high as is comfortable. Easy stretch. Working that outer left glute as well. And then go ahead and set the left foot down. Inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale. Take a stroll to the top of the mat, coming into a forward fold. Let's inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, release. 2 more times. Inhale, halfway. Slowly coming up with a flat back. Exhale, release. And this time, let's come all the way up. Inhale, find that flat back, maintain it. Bend those knees as much as you need to. Draw those arms up. And then exhale, hands to the heart. Take a moment here. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, interlace the fingers, press the palms up, move the shoulders down. Separate those feet so you have a nice, strong, balanced stand. Inhale, and then exhale, nice, easy side bend. So the hips can move a little bit in the opposite direction as the arms. And breathe. Inhale, makes you back to center. Exhale, over to the other side. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, release. Interlace the fingers opposite, pinky on top, or you can use a strap with the palms facing forward or hands on the hips with the elbows towards each other. Your choice. Take an inhale. Maybe a little arch in the spine, tailbone points down. And then as you exhale, soft bend in the knees. With control, slowly release forward into a forward fold, and then release those arms, let them dangle down. Let's draw the backs of the hands onto your mat with your fingertips pointing towards the back of the mat. Just an easy counter stretch for those wrists. Bend those knees as much as you need to. Feel the weight of the head reach towards the floor so you get a nice stretch for the neck. And then when you're ready, let's pick up those fingertips. Find your feet in chair pose, either feet together or feet hip bone distance apart, yogi's choice, and then start to bend those knees. Draw those hips back, so as if you're going to fall backwards, but don't. And then when you're ready, rise with that flat back. Let's come into chair. Squeeze outer hips, inner legs, lower belly, neutral position of the spine. You don't have to go too low in your chair as long as you're working those legs, or just a couple more rounds of breath here. Maybe go a little bit deeper. Make sure you can see all 10 toes. Remember, if the knees are apart, the feet are apart the same distance. It's building some heat in those legs. Notice what's happening with the tailbone if you start to overarch. Lengthen through that lower back. Take another inhale and then exhale. Let's release into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, fingertips gliding up the shins. And then exhale, step it back to plank. Remember, feel free to skip the vinyasas and go straight back to downward facing dog if you'd like. Inhale, shift it forward, knees up or down. Exhale, release. Inhale, cobra, or maybe upward facing dog, your choice. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step it forward, warrior one. If it doesn't make it there, use your hand to carry it forward. Adjust the feet before you come on up, and then let's rise on up. Take a moment here, a couple rounds of breath in warrior one. Find your Ujjayi breath, find your balance. Get a nice stretch for the back of that back leg. Remember, right knee or front knee stacks, tracks, and freezes. Inhale, exhale, release back down to plank pose. Either straight back downward facing dog or vinyasa, shifting forward, knees up or down. Your choice. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg floats back and up. Exhale, use your core to get that foot as close to that left hand as you can. Or assist your foot. Find that the feet are in that perfect position. And then let's rise on up for warrior one. Nice stretch along the back of that back leg. Make sure that front knee is stacked over the ankle, tracking towards its direction in the center of the toes, and then freeze it there. Let's take another inhale, and then exhale back into plank. Vinyasa if you'd like, or feel free to skip. Go straight back to downward facing dog, and then meet in downward facing dog. Take just a couple rounds of breath here, thinking about that good form for your down dog. Nice easy stretch, elongation through the spine first, and then stretch out the back of the legs second. Inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, make your way to the top of the mat, chair pose feet. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release, bend those knees, sink those hips. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, sink deeper. We'll stay in our chair pose, just draw the arms back behind you. Either arms can stay separate with the palms facing each other, or maybe you're interlacing the fingers and opening up the chest without overarching through the lower spine. So draw the tailbone down, nice stretch in the chest, feel those legs work. And then let's slowly release those fingers if you have it. Draw the arms forward and up as you stand up nice and tall. And then hands to the heart. Let's come back into chair. Let's flow a little bit more. Inhale, chair. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, step it back, plank pose. Either straight back, downward facing dog, or flow through your vinyasa, shifting forward, knees up or down. Exhale, release, halfway or all the way down. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step it forward or carry it forward, warrior one. Inhale to rise on up. Maybe the palms touch as you look up. Exhale, back to plank. Inhale, shift it forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, halfway, or cobra, or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, step it forward, warrior one base. Inhale to rise. Maybe the palms touch or maybe not. Exhale, back to plank. Remember, feel free to skip the vinyasas. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, lower down. Inhale to your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. From down dog, separate your feet a little bit wider than the hips. Walk the hands back towards your feet. Let's come into a forward fold. Supported, so bend those knees. Rest the chest on the thighs. Maybe you're taking what we did earlier, taking the backs of the hands onto the mat with the fingertips pointing towards the back end of the mat. So you get a counter stretch for those wrists. And take a few rounds of breath here. So make sure the weight of the upper half of the body is resting on something, whether that's a rib cage on the thighs or your hands. Just don't want to stress that lower spine. And then let's walk it back forward, downward facing dog. On the next inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, make your way to the top with chair pose feet. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release, bend those knees, sink those hips. Inhale, chair. Exhale, stand up tall. One more round. Inhale, chair. If you like, all of these are options. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, extend. Exhale, step it back, plank. Inhale, shift it forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale into your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg floats up. Exhale, step it forward for warrior one. One inhale to rise. Maybe the palms touch, maybe look up. And then one exhale to plank pose. Inhale, shift it forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, half or up. Cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step it forward. Use the core. One inhale to rise. One exhale to lower. Plank pose. Inhale, shift it forward. Exhale, release down or halfway. Inhale into your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take an inhale in. Exhale out the mouth. Walk the hands back to the feet. Bend those knees so you can rest your upper half of the body over the lower and grab opposite elbows. And you can allow the shoulders to kind of melt towards the floor a little bit. Allow the head to release. Change the crossing of the forearms. And then let's walk our hands back forward for downward facing dog. Let's finish this salutation out by inhaling, bending the knees, looking forward, exhaling, stepping it forward, chair pose feet. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release, bend those knees, sink those hips. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, let's stay here for a moment. Let's keep the weight into our right leg, our right foot, and just cross the left leg over the right, just as if you're sitting in a chair. And then noticing if your front knee or your right knee is really past those toes, try to draw the weight back. Working on our balance, you'll also feel some work on that outer right hip. And then let's place the left foot down, right over to the other side. So first find your solid chair, and then we're just gonna cross our legs, our right leg over the left. And breathing. Find that Ujjayi breath. You can even steady your focus on a single point. And then let's release right foot back down and then stand up tall, hands to the heart. Take a moment here. Let's take an inhale together. Exhale out the mouth. One more time. Inhale. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, dive it down. Inhale, halfway. And then let's step it back to plank, top of a push-up. Right knee down. Draw the lower right leg off of the mat. And let's come into a little side plank. Breathing here. Try to get those left toes to point towards the long edge of the mat. Move the shoulders back. Right hand right underneath the right shoulder. And then maybe the top arm reaches. Keep pulling the shoulders away from the ears. So we don't want the shoulders to come up. We want to pull them away. Breathing here. And then maybe that back leg starts to lift. Maybe you're bending it. Maybe with that top arm, you're very gently grabbing the foot, and then find this openness of the chest. Maybe it's a little arch in the spine. If that feels good, breathing here. And then just looking wherever feels good for your neck. And then let's slowly release it on out. Release it down. Find your way into plank pose. Find that strength in the core when you come into plank, and see if you can bring it into our side plank. Left knee down. Left toes can go off to the side. Let's come into our side plank. Make sure that bottom hand is underneath the bottom shoulder. And then those back toes are pointing towards the long edge of the mat. Maybe stay here, maybe here, maybe here. Lots of options. Maybe here. Wherever you are, finding what works best for you. Maybe you're looking more for a stretching practice. Maybe you're looking more for a strength building practice. So find what works best to meet your needs for today. And find your Ujjayi breath. And then let's slowly come on back down. Let's take a moment in child's pose. Maybe it's a high child's pose, so you can give a little love to your wrists. And then let's make our way into downward facing dog. From down dog, you can step the feet a little bit closer together. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Inhale, straighten the right leg, square off the hip, and then step it between the hands, setting up for warrior two. Spin the left heel down, heel to arch alignment, left toe slightly forward to the left heel, and then bend the front knee to stack, track, and freeze it there. And then when you're ready, let's rise on up, find our way into warrior two. And then let's straighten the right leg, or that front leg, and then rebend, stacking it right atop the ankle. Let's straighten, and then rebend. And one more time, straighten, and then rebend. Flip the right palm, legs stay the same. Let's reverse, and then come back. Reverse on the inhale, and come back. One more time, reverse on that inhale. Exhale, come back. Let's shift it forward, side angle, and we're going to have the arm circle. Maybe it's just the fingertips are on the shoulder and the elbow circling. So find what works best for your body. And then let's change the direction of those arm circles. So find the range of motion for your shoulders. Maybe it's a little bit bigger than mine, or maybe it's not as big as mine. Find what works best for your body. So it feels good, like a nice stretch. Legs are working strong. We're not collapsing into that bottom shoulder. Nice. And then let's come back to warrior two. Straighten up, all 10 toes pointing towards the long edge of the mat. Take an inhale. Exhale, soft bend in the knees. Let's come into a wide leg forward fold. Forearms can be onto the thighs or reaching for the floor, your choice. One last round of breath here. Let's have a soft bend in those knees so you can reach the floor. And then we're going to turn towards the back of the mat. So now your left foot is in the front. Let's plant those palms, step it back to plank pose, and then either straight back to downward facing dog, or if you are looking to build more strength, flowing through your vinyasa, taking the time, not rushing. There's no need to rush in any of our yoga poses. Let's move over to the other side. Inhale, left leg floats. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Inhale, straighten the leg, square off the hips. Exhale, step it through for warrior two. Adjust that back foot. Get those hips underneath you. And then when you're ready, let's roll it on up and then sink into your pose. And then inhale, straighten the left leg. Exhale, rebend, stacking it right atop the ankle. Inhale to straighten, and then exhale, rebend. Arms are really strong, shoulders moving down. Exhale, rebend. Flip that front palm, inhale, reverse, just nice and easy. And then exhale, warrior two. Two more times. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, warrior two. Last time, inhale, reverse. And then exhale, warrior two. Shift a little bit forward, side angle pose. We'll first start just a few arm circles so you can see what your range of motion is like. Let's change the direction of our arm circles. Remember, being mindful of those shoulders, make sure the shoulder joint's happy. Maybe you're just staying with that top arm still. Nice. And then let's come back to warrior two. All 10 toes point towards the long edge of the mat. Take an inhale. Exhale, wide leg forward fold. Releasing down and breathing here. Soft bend in those knees, straighten the arms, and let's walk it back so that we're facing the front of the mat. Step it back, plank pose, your choice, straight back downward facing dog or vinyasa with whatever modifications or additions that you'd like to make. And when we get to downward facing dog, let's settle those knees back down onto the mat and sit it back. Child's pose. And then from child's pose, it's rising on up. Downward facing dog. Step the feet a little bit closer together. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Find a little twisting in the hips to a comfortable point. And then let's straighten the right leg, square off the hips. And then as you exhale, step it to the outside of the right hand. And you can kind of scoot your left foot a little bit to the outer edge of the mat if that feels good. Left knee can be down, back knee can be down, or you can be straight. And then let's inhale, open it up as far back as feels good. And then exhale, come right back down. Inhale, open into your twist, long through the spine. And then exhale, square the shoulders to the mat one more time. Inhale, open. Exhale, release. And then from here, let's step it back. Downward facing dog. Step the feet a little bit closer together. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Straighten the left leg, square off the hips. Exhale, step or carry to the outside of the left hand. Back knee can be down or lifted. Your right hand is underneath the shoulder. Inhale, let's open it up without twisting too much of the hips. Exhale, come back, square it off. Inhale to open. Exhale, release. Last time, inhale, open. Exhale, release. And then when you're ready, step it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Inhale, straighten the right leg, square it off. Exhale, step or carry the foot to the outside of the right hand. Remember to use your core. Separate those feet, and then we're going to keep that right hand right on the inside of the right foot. And so the right arm is kind of supporting that right leg and vice versa. And then inhale, this time the left arm comes up for a little twist. And then exhale, release it back down. Little balance work. Inhale to open. Exhale, release. One last time. Exhale, release. So from here, let's glue that right knee to the upper right arm. Maybe staying here. Maybe start to lift the right foot off of the floor. Feel the work of the core, and then step it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Inhale, straighten the left leg, square it off. Exhale, step or carry to the outside of the left hand. You can scoot your back foot a little bit over to the side for a little bit of balance. Really connect that front lower leg to that front arm. And then inhale, let's open. Find your balance. Exhale, release. Inhale, open. Exhale, release. Inhale, open. And then exhale, release. And then adjust if you need to. Glue that front knee into the front arm or that left arm, and then maybe lift or not, your choice. And then step it back. Whew. Downward facing dog. Set those knees down onto the mat. Pat up the knees if you need to so we can stand up tall. And if it doesn't feel good to stand up on the knees, feel free to come to a comfortable seated position. Hands on the hips with the elbows towards each other. Interlace the fingers or strap behind you with the palms facing forward. Your choice, and we're just going to open up through the chest. This little counter move for all those vinyasas that we're doing. Tailbone points down. Hips stay over the knees. Maybe the gaze is up. Maybe you're closing the eyes. But whatever you're doing, you are breathing. And then let's slowly release it into child's pose. Let's add a little side bend. Draw the arms over to the right, maybe a little shift of the hips to the left. And then over, up and over to the other side. Let's come back to center. Come back to downward facing dog. And then when we get to down dog, let's start to walk the hands back to the feet. Bend those knees, engage to the belly as you slowly roll on up. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to the heart. And then you can walk to the center of the mat or the top of the mat. Maybe grabbing your belt if you need it. You can do a little balancing, a little stretching. Right leg will be the standing leg. Let's first find mountain pose. Breathing here. Just take a couple rounds of breath to really kind of settle into your mountain pose, but still feeling the strength, kind of that energy lifting up out of the roots of the pose. Make sure the right toes are pointing forward, and then coming into just a easy royal dancer, or you could think of it as just a quad stretch. So if it's a little too far for your hand, go ahead and grab your belt or strap. You can strap up the foot. So find what works best for you. Maybe even have a hand on the wall if you need to, or you're working on your balance and breathing here. Maybe that right arm is up or forward. Maybe you're starting to kick into the foot that you have, and just find your mild sensation of a stretch. Maybe you're hinging forward a little bit if you'd like, or you can stay upright. So you can work on your balance, you can stretch, you can do both, whatever feels good to your body. Make sure that you're thinking about elongating, especially through the lower spine, so we don't overarch through the lower back. Going as deep into the pose as feels good. And then let's slowly come on up, release, shake it out. Let's move over to the other side. First, stand up tall in mountain pose. And then when you're ready, find your balance, or you can go next to a wall and then find the stretch that works best for your body on this side. Maybe you're kicking in, maybe you're hinging forward a little bit, or maybe you're staying upright, but you are breathing as best as you can your Ujjayi breath. Enjoying all the shakes that are happening if you have any. And then let's slowly release it on down. Shake it out if you need to. Let's cross one ankle in front of the other. Have a soft bend in those knees. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, soft bend in the knees, let's fold it forward. So maybe using blocks or even a chair. You can bend those knees as much as you need to settle your hands on something, whether that's the chair, blocks, books, or the floor. And then when you get down there, then you can start to straighten the legs. The hips are going to want to twist, so try to keep those hips square to the top edge of the mat. And breathing here. And so nice, easy, mild sensation of a stretch along the back of the legs. You might even feel a stretch on the outer hips. Just make sure you really are supported so the weight of the upper half of the body is off of the lower spine. And then go ahead and bend those knees and let's release those feet. So come back into a normal, about hip bone distance apart with the feet. Bend those knees and let's slowly engage to the belly so you can roll up the spine with no stress to the back. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Step the feet together. Let's just move over to the other side. So cross opposite leg in front. Make sure those hips stay square. Soft bend in those knees. Remember, you can even just stay up tall if you need to. You'll still get a stretch on those outer hips. If you want to come into the forward fold, inhale, arms up. Exhale, soft bend in those knees. Come on down easily, slowly. Rest your hands on something. And then when you get into that forward fold, then you can start to straighten those legs a little bit more towards your mild sensation of a stretch, keeping those hips even and finding your Ujjayi breath. You might feel a little kind of wavering, and that's fine because we're working on our balance as well. And then when you're ready, bend those knees. Make sure you can reach something, and then let's release those feet. Separate those feet so they're a little bit wider than the hips, either supported forward fold or If you can comfortably do so, remember there should be no pain. Then come into your yogi squat and take a few moments here. And then let's slowly release. And in the manner that is most safe and comfortable for you to come onto your bottoms, go ahead and make your way there. And then grab your belt or your props just so you have them handy if you need them. Let's start to straighten right leg forward. Let's open up the left knee out to the side. Remember, if the knees don't like this, feel free to have both legs straight. Bottom of the left foot to the inside of the right leg. Flex through the right foot, so toes on up. Take an inhale, and then as you exhale, center of the chest points towards those right toes, and then fold forward any amount. And we'll be here for 5 rounds of breath. So if you feel a stretch, even just sitting up tall, feel free to stay sitting up tall, working on straightening that extended leg as best as you can. Or if it's comfortable for you to go a little bit deeper, you can, but it's not all about touching the toes or how low you can get the chest to the floor. It's about finding the stretch that works best for your body. And then taking a few rounds of breath here. Finding or even maintaining our flexibility takes a lot of time, so be gentle and slow with the process. Last round of breath. And then let's walk our hands back towards us, so no strain on the back. And we'll just switch right over to the other side. Straighten the opposite leg forward, open the knee out. Sole of the foot to the inside of that front thigh. Flex through the left foot so the toes are pointing up. Sit up tall, take an inhale. As you exhale, a little spin of the chest to face towards those toes. And then maybe you're sitting up tall, or maybe you're coming forward, folding forward to whatever feels good for your body. You'll also feel a stretch on that outer kind of right side waist. And then finding your Ujjayi breath here, relaxing through the shoulders, maybe relaxing through the head as well. Just taking some really nice deep rounds of breath here. Remember, it's just a mild sensation, something that you can be comfortable in for several minutes at a time, even though we won't be here for several minutes at a time, or this time. One last round of breath. And then let's walk our hands back towards us. Let's draw the soles of the feet together. Feel free to draw the feet a little bit further away from you or closer to you, whatever is comfortable. And if this doesn't feel good, you can just draw your feet onto the mat and fold forward. So whatever works for your body. And a gentle fold forward. Remember to support the weight of the upper half of the body, so we're not just floating and pressuring that lower spine. So we do have our hands resting on something. You don't have to go low, like I said before. Even sitting up tall will give you a nice stretch. And let's just take a couple more rounds of breath here, finding that Ujjayi breath. And then let's walk our hands back towards us and then sit in a comfortable position. I'm just going to turn to face you so we can get a nice stretch for the neck. Let's extend one arm out to the side, turn the thumb to point down, and then either hand onto the hip, or you can slowly wrap it back behind you. And if you can easily reach the opposite arm, go ahead and do so. We'll sit up tall, make sure the shoulders are over the hips. Feel free to slide something underneath your bottom if you need to. Head starts in neutral position, and then we'll lean the head over to the side. So breathing here. So we're just leaning the head over to the side where the hand is or the arm is. And then any micro adjustments that will give you the best stretch for your body, you can make. Just do so very slowly so that we still stay safe. And of course, if you do have any concerns with your neck, you will skip this. And then let's slowly release. I'm just going to assist to draw my head back to upright. And let's move over to the other side. If you want, you could change the crossing of the legs too, so we stay balanced. Opposite arm out, thumb down, hand onto the hip, or very gently slide it back behind you. This is my lucky shoulder, so I have to be very careful with it. Maybe grab the opposite arm or not, whatever feels good. Make sure the shoulders are happy. And then still starting, we'll start from a neutral position and then we'll lean the head over. And then any micro adjustments you'd like to make. This tends to be my kind of my tighter side, so I can really feel a nice stretch here. And breathing here. Just take a couple more rounds of breath. I'm still trying to find that perfect pillow that where I can wake up and have no neck pain. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know. And then let's slowly release. And I'm going to use my hand to press my head back up. And then I'm going to turn back around to face towards the front of my mat. And let's gently roll onto our back. When you get there, let's come into our thread the needle pose, crossing ankle over the thigh above the knee, flex through that foot, and maybe draw the leg shape towards you, or maybe leave there, or maybe you're using your belt so that your arms don't have to do too much work. Just finding your comfortable stretch here. You should feel it on that glute, on the hip. And see if you can relax any other parts of the body. Then make sure if you are drawing the legs towards you, that you are supporting with your hands or a belt, because if not, after a while, then the lower back will want to lift off of the mat or can lift off of the mat, and that can stress out your lower back. So we want to really be supported in these final stretching poses. And then let's release, foot down. Let's come into half happy baby. You can use your belt or your strap or just your hand. You can open up this bottom leg out to the side if that feels good. So half happy baby to your comfortable point. So really getting a good stretch through that right buttock and the right hip area. And then let's slowly drop back to center. And let's switch over to the other side. Crossing the ankle over the thigh but the knee, flexing through the foot the whole time. And then draw the leg shape towards you. Supporting the lower half of the body if your foot is not off the floor, with your hands or with a strap. Sometimes using a strap, even if you don't need it, this gives a different type of sensation. So it's good to mix it up every now and then. We're finding a nice stretch on this outer hip. And then this feels so good. I don't want to I don't want to stop the pose yet, the stretch yet, but must feel balanced. Let's release it down. Have happy baby, maybe a belt, maybe a strap, maybe your own hand. Maybe that bottom leg is just going a little out to the side so you get another inner leg stretch and you don't kind of roll off to one side. Really feel that nice stretch for the buttock and a little stretch for the back as well. Then as you're ready, go ahead and release. Come back to center. Let's come into a twist of your choice. Just remember to keep the shoulders down onto the mat, spine stays along the center line of the mat. So you can either stack the knees or cross the legs, whatever feels good. Gentle twist. It's not about getting the knee down to the floor. It's just about doing what feels good for your body. Starting to feel kind of that heaviness of Shavasana coming in, that heaviness of relaxation. And then slowly, let's go over to the other side. Remember to try to keep that spine, the tailbone along the center line of the mat. And it's just a very gentle twist. Both shoulder blades stay down. Maybe the head turns if that feels good. And then as you're ready, let's slowly come back. I'm going to straighten the legs. I'm going to straighten those arms up over the head. You can get one more really long stretch. If it feels good to get an arch in the spine, you can. And then let's return back to a neutral position. So you're welcome for your final pose of Shavasana to keep your legs straight, to separate those feet so they're wider than the hips. Or if your lower back feels a little tight today, then you can bend those knees and rest them against each other. Let's draw the arms either down by the side or cactus arms or even diamond shape, whatever feels good, where you can fully relax, where your elbows aren't kind of lifting and shaking. And you can also feel just a nice passive sensation, passive stretching sensation for the chest. And at any time, feel free to change the position of the arms. And then for our final pose of Shavasana, let's take an inhale. Exhale out the mouth. And enjoy these next few minutes of your Shavasana. Slowly begin to deepen your breath. Send some movement into your fingers, into your toes. And on the next inhale, you can stretch the arms to a comfortable point. As you exhale, hug one knee in, followed by the other. Maybe give a little stretch for the lower back or a little rocking motion. And then we'll gently roll onto one side and slowly make our way up to a comfortable seat. Let's draw the palms of the hands together at our heart center and just recognize that intention or dedication that you set at the beginning of your practice. Place the hands over your heart to take a moment to feel gratitude for whatever you are grateful for in your life. Let's draw the palms of the hands back together at your heart. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through your practice. It truly is a privilege and a joy. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you next time.